my name's Imran. This is about circular photographs, and this is my cat, Prince. I recently got a Google phone, and the other day I was driving and I got curious, and so I asked it, hey Google, why are photographs rectangular?
According to DP Review, photographs are rectangular because that is the way most people want an image to look, so the top, bottom, and sides are cropped by the rectangular shape of the sensor.
Yeah, that, and because, if you had a circular photograph, well, not as much area, the image quality is going to be lower. You're going to have less information than with a rectangular, right? So that's why images are rectangular. There was actually a camera that used to be circular way back when. This camera was called the Kodak One, and yes, it took circular photos. So it got me thinking, if I took a film camera like, say, this guy, the Pentax K1000, very reputable student camera, and if I were to, let's say, open the back and, cut a hole in it or something where it's circular instead of rectangular, would I produce circular images? I think so. So we're gonna try that. Well, I'm not gonna cut a hole in it, of course. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a piece of paper that fits over this so that instead of being rectangular, it's gonna be circular. And I'll use my Cricut cutting machine to make a perfect circle. It should just be, a little bit less than 24 millimeters in diameter. Let's make that cutout. Okay, so you got it to cut pretty nicely. The Cricut software makes it fairly easy, so that's kind of nice. It did take me 3 tries, but that's all right. So I used cardstock because it's thick enough that it'll stay rigid and have crisp edges, but thin enough that it'll fit in the camera. So, what I'm gonna do right now is oh yeah, it's a perfect fit. I'm gonna tape this in there. I'm gonna go take some shots. I'm gonna go take some photographs, and then I'm gonna get it developed. We'll see what happens. All right, it's a new day, and everything you saw before in this video was shot last night. I went out this morning and shot a roll of Fujifilm Superior Extra 400, pretty cheap film. I didn't want to use like Portra 400 for something that I wasn't totally sure was gonna work, but it worked. It worked. Okay, so look at that. So it worked, right? Now it's interesting, and some of you probably already anticipated this was going to happen because I used white paper. Some of the light still went through to the full rectangular frame, but the only parts that were clear and perfectly exposed were in that little circle area, and it was almost a perfect circle. I think because my Cricut cutter's blade is a little bit dull, it wasn't perfect on all of the shots, but it worked. So this kind of opens up a new world of possibilities. Obviously, making the frame smaller in the size of the circle, which ended up being, I did a 20 millimeter diameter circle. So I think it ends up being about 1/3 of the size of the traditional full frame 35 millimeter sensor or film. Yeah, that's a big decrease, right? I looked into it some more. It's 75% of the size of an APS-C sensor for digital, so that's a big reduction, but it's cool. It's really cool. It's unique, and obviously you could shoot a full frame photo and then go into post and crop it as a circle, but photography and art isn't always about the final product. Sometimes it's about the process you took to get there, and so in this case, it's a very genuine process that I shot circular photos. And while doing it, it was really interesting because there were times where, when you're looking through the viewfinder, you're still seeing a rectangular frame. Like putting that circle on the back of the camera doesn't change what you see. So there were times where I was like, this shot would be better vertical. And I turned my camera and be like, wait a second, I'm shooting circles. It literally does not matter. I could hold the camera crooked like this and I would still have a circular photograph that would be the same no matter how I hold it, which is nice. If you've ever shot on a TLR, which shoots 6x6 medium format, you know this. You'd never ever hold that sideways. That would just be silly. But again, this is a really unique thing. And I think I'm gonna try it out with different patterns. Again, like having that Cricut cutter makes it possible to make a lot of different crisp patterns. And next time I'll probably use black paper so that it doesn't let as much light through. And you'll see on some of these images here that in the full rectangular, 36 by 24 frame, you can still make out what some of the objects are outside of the circle a little bit. But it's dark, it's blurry, it's just underexposed and not what it's supposed to be. But after cropping in Photoshop with the perfect circle, my God, these images are fun to look at. Now we know that if you ever wanted to reduce the size of your photos by 66%, just to take them in a weird circle instead of doing that post crop in Photoshop, you can create genuinely circular negatives, and that's neat. So I'm looking forward to seeing what other people do with different shapes behind their camera. It could be initials, I guess it could be a random shape. I guess the possibilities are endless with the shape that you choose to use for your photographs. Again, it's not always about the final product. Sometimes it's about the process you take to get to it. And in this case, they meant cutting a nice 20mm circle, taping it behind my camera, and figuring it out. If you liked this video and having me do this little experiment to see if I could take circular videos and you want to see more, comment saying so and let me know what shape I should try next, or pattern, whatever it might be. I'll do it. I will literally do all of them in one whole other video and it'll be awesome. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more.